Hi, what's up?
Hello Maya. Today I want to talk to you about the words earth and the history of our home. In a words I will ask you some question about it.
Sounds good. What's your first question?
Okay Maya, my first question, what does the word earth mean?
Well, art is a pretty big one. It's at its core, it's usually about human creativity, making something that expresses ideas, feelings, or just looks beautiful. But honestly, it's kind of slippery to define. Like, is doodling art? What about a perfectly arranged garden? It really depends on who you ask and what culture you're talking about. What made you curious about it?
Okay Maya, my next question, how has the word earth been used historically?
Let me quickly look into that. So, art actually comes from the Latin word ars, which basically meant skill or craft. The cool thing is, for centuries, art wasn't limited to painting or sculpture. It meant any skill, even science. Think artisan, someone skilled in a craft. It wasn't until around the 1600s that art started narrowing down to what we think of today, paintings, music, that kind of thing. Makes you wonder how different words could have evolved, right?
Okay Maya, my third question, where did the word earth originate from?
Give me a sec to check that. That's a fascinating one. Earth actually has really ancient roots. It comes from the Old English word eorse, which meant dirt or soil. Pretty basic, huh? It's actually one of the only planets not named after a god or goddess. Most others got their names from Roman or Greek mythology. The word itself is super old, like over 1,000 years old, and basically every Germanic language has a similar version of the word.
Okay
Pretty
Maya,
straightforward origins for our home.
my fourth question, how old is the word earth?
I'm not quite catching that. Are you asking how the word are is used or something else about the word itself?
How old is the word earth?
Let me quickly look into that. Okay, so old is actually really old itself. It comes from Old English. Those are words used about 1,000 years ago. And the word back then was old or eald. Mm. It originally meant grown up or mature. It goes way, way back, all the way to even older languages where it meant simply to grow or to nourish. So that's a pretty interesting evolution for a word.
Okay, Maya, my sixth question was as a word used to mean the planet we live on.
That's a great observation. Yeah, Earth and world, both words we use constantly for the planet we live on. Earth came from the Old English for soil and ground, as we talked about, connecting us literally to the land we walk on. World has a different history, though, from Old English world, which meant age of man. So everything in human experience, they both have become basically interchangeable now when we're talking about the actual planet itself. Pretty cool how two words with such different origins ended up meaning the same thing, huh?
How has the meaning of earth evolved over time?
Let me look that up.
Maya, my question, how has the meaning of earth evolved over time?
Let me check that out real quick. The meaning of Earth has changed in pretty subtle ways over time. Originally, the Old English word erdi basically meant just ground or soil, like the stuff you walk on. Gradually, it expanded to mean the human world and eventually the whole globe. The really interesting thing is how capitalization changed. For a long time, it was lowercase, but then people started capitalizing it when they talked about Earth alongside Mars or Jupiter. And unlike those planets, Earth's name comes from ancient Germanic roots, not Greek or Roman mythology. So it went from being just dirt to being our planet's formal name. Pretty wild when you think about it.
Okay, Maya. Is Earth used definitely is virgin language?
I'm not entirely sure what you mean by virgin language. Could you maybe rephrase that? Are you asking if Earth is the original word for the planet or something else entirely?
Okay, Maya. My next question: how does the word Earth appear in myth and ancient text?
I think I'm having trouble catching that. Clearly, could you repeat that sentence? It got a bit mixed up when you said mid and I said a text.
Okay, Maya. My next question: can Earth have a symbolic or cultural meaning?
Yeah, definitely. The word earth, and really the idea of the earth itself, has deep symbolic and cultural meaning across pretty much every culture. Often it represents creation, fertility, nourishment. A lot of indigenous cultures view earth as a mother goddess figure. In many religions, it's the foundation of life, the sacred ground. Even our everyday language is full of earth related metaphors, down to earth, rooted in
Okay,
reality.
Maya. How do
It's
these
pretty hard to I'm doing well, thanks. This conversation about words and where they come from is pretty fascinating, actually. How are you doing today? I'm sorry to hear you're feeling angry or distressed enough to say something like that. If you're having thoughts of hurting others or yourself, it's really important to reach out for help.
Okay,
Here are some
Maya.
resources that can help you through difficult times: Suicide Crisis Lifeline, call or text 988 in the US and Canada, or dial 111.
Maya, my next
And
question: how do children learn the word Earth?
that's a really interesting question. Kids usually learn are early on, like around the same time they figure out they're separate people, around 2, 3 years old. They hear it used a lot by their parents when they're talking about the child directly. I love you. I want you to eat your vegetables. But it's interesting. Sometimes they get it wrong at first, saying me instead of I. Researchers think this happens because kids need to figure out that the self exists as its own thing, separate from others. Over time, they develop a stronger sense of self and the understanding of what the word I actually refers to.
Okay, Maya. Are there admin or experience using the word Earth?
You want to use art in a sentence or conversation? I can definitely help. Do you have something specific you want to say, or are you looking for examples? Like maybe you want to talk about a piece of music or painting or a really well made meal. Just let me know what you're thinking.
Okay, Maya. My next question: how has science influenced the understanding of Earth?
I think I got most of that. Are you asking how science has changed our understanding of the Earth?
Okay, Maya.
So, science has totally transformed our understanding of Earth. For centuries, people thought of the world as pretty much flat or the center of the universe. Astronomy came along and showed us it's a sphere orbiting the sun. Then we got geology telling us how the Earth's structure actually works, plus plate tectonics. And then chemistry started figuring out how everything on Earth interacts chemically. More recently, climate science helps us understand things like ecosystems in our atmospheres. Went from pure mystery to detailed understanding because of science. It changed how we understand our home's formation, age, and place in the universe.
Okay, Maya. My next question: how does the connect of Earth shape human thought and culture?
Let me see if I understand. Are you asking how different cultures have understood the shape of Earth and
Yeah,
how that has influenced their cultures?
yeah.
Absolutely. So, the idea of what Earth's shape is impacts culture a lot. Ancient Greeks thought it was a sphere and used that to map the world. That drove exploration. For centuries, many Chinese cultures believed in a flat Earth covered by a dome shape, which influenced how they thought about the heavens and navigation. Indigenous peoples often have detailed cosmological maps tied to their landscapes and understand the shape through oral tradition. When the concept of spherical Earth was adopted by cultures worldwide, things like cartography, global exploration, and mapping all took off. There's a clear connection between those cultural conceptions of Earth's shape and the direction that exploration takes. Make sense? Everything okay?
Yeah,
You went
everything
quiet
is
there.
all right. Okay, Maya. My next
Yeah,
question:
I've heard things. Nice to meet you, Kasha.
are there similar words to Earth in other languages?
I think you meant Earth instead of ooze. If so, yeah. In Spanish, it's tierra. French uses tierra. German says erde. Japanese has tichigyu, which is chikyu, and it means something similar to planet Earth as well. Each language has a word that essentially means the ground, soil, or planet we live on. Pretty universal concept, so the words tend to show up in pretty much every language.
Has a globalization affect the understanding of the word Earth?
I'm really struggling to understand what you said there with all the uncertain text. Could you maybe say it again or break it down for me?
Okay, Maya, I had again. How do different culture experience respect or connection to the earth?
That's a beautiful question. The connection to Earth varies so much across cultures. Many indigenous cultures view Earth as a sacred mother figure, everything deeply interconnected. In some traditions, specific mountains or landscapes are worshipped. Ancient Egyptians saw the Nile as life giving and built their whole civilization around it. Aboriginal Australians have dreamtime stories about the Earth's creation that connect them to every animal and plant. What's fascinating is most cultures have these roots of respect and connection despite different traditions. It's like there's something inherent in humanity to feel connected to where we live.
Okay, Maya, how does pronunciation of earth vary across English dialect?
I'm not sure I followed what you mean by the connection to Earth across English. Are you asking about how different English speaking cultures, American English, British English, Australian English, etc.,
How
approach
does
concepts related
pronunciation
to
of
Earth?
earth vary across English dialect?
I'm really struggling to understand what you meant there. It sounds like you might be asking about how people talk about Earth in different dialects of English, but I'm not sure. Could you try rephrasing that?
It's okay, no problem.
Okay, sounds good.
Is
Is
the
there anything else you'd like to talk about right now?
is the concept of earth a universe in all cultures?
That's a really deep question. Are you wondering if the concept of art reflects the universe in all cultures?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating thought. It really seems like it does, in a way. Every culture has stories, songs, visual creations that try to make sense of their place in the universe. Cave paintings, mythology, ceremonial dances, spiritual art. Even if the styles and meanings change wildly, they're all about trying to grapple with big questions about existence, meaning, how humans connect to the world. It's like art is that universal response to understanding our place in whatever reality we're trying to make sense of, whether it's spiritual or scientific or simply aesthetic.
Okay, can a student the history of the world Earth help understand human civilization?
It sounds like you're asking if studying Earth's history can help us understand human emotions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I think studying the story of Earth gives you context about human emotions. It helps you see how climate impacted early life and communities, how disasters like earthquakes and volcanoes were seen in as punishments from above in early civilizations, how even natural cycles affected human settlements. Knowing what our ancestors dealt with on this planet helps appreciate those civilizations felt during those times. Plus, geology, fossils, all that give
Okay,
context
Maya.
on who we are now as human beings. What else is on your mind, Kasha?
হ্যাঁ দরওয়াজা দিকে দে ওখানে দিয়ে
Yeah, I'm having a really hard. I'm still lost here. I think the audio might.
খালা
Hi there. I
ওখানে
was
গিয়ে
just
দে
saying I'm having trouble
হ্যাঁ
hearing clearly. The Yeah, I got the you get it part. I'm just not sure what we're getting. Can you tell me what you were trying to ask or say earlier?
Okay, Maya. My next question and last question: why do you think the word Earth remaining central in language and culture?
That's a great question to end on. I think Earth remains so central because it's fundamental to everyone's experience. Literally everyone lives on this planet, feels the ground beneath their feet, experiences the weather, notices the seasons. So it's woven into our language in basic ways, talking about down to earth, being grounded, or hoping for firm ground, that it makes sense that its importance will always stay in language and culture.
Okay, Maya. Thank you for talking with me about the words Earth, the history of my human in words. I'm better. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Kasha. I'm glad we got to explore the history of the words and our planet together. It was fascinating learning with you. Talk to you later.